Well, you start with a really talented group of people, and that's these people. So that's where it all begins. A lot of people see a list of scenes in a program and they see that as the work of one person, but in this case, everything down to the titles of the sequences was a group process. Sure, there was editorial from the playwright, but it was the playwright's choice to keep a very open sieve on everything that was coming out during the process and keep an open mind towards everything. So this is the sequence of events for this evening's prototype, but it is not definitive. So here's how we did it. So we go through a process of research. And basically research is bringing in source materials. We let each person report on it. We record many aspects of it, and then we discuss what we saw. So the actual research process involves bringing in source materials of many different kinds. It could be interviews with people we know, interviews with strangers on the street that we recorded and transcribed. It could be newspaper articles, catalogs, books, media, video, audio, swatches of cloth, props, anything that we want to bring in and talk about that relates to the operating question. So each person then reports their research to the rest of the group, and the rest of the group receives that information. And during the course of that, we record the things that come up, and this could be questions that come out of listening to the research or hearing the research or responding to the research. Could be source materials that come to mind that are not already included in the research that's compiled. And many other aspects. We're recording even ideas for scenes that are spilling out of this. So we're trying to get all this down. And usually we just hang butcher paper on the wall and write on it. One caution, use non-permanent ink. By rehash, we mean we discuss what we are experiencing, what we're hearing at length. We argue it, we question it, and it can take some time. But time is part of this process. Time deepens everything. Once we complete the research phase, we start generating moments. We make them, we present them to each other, we critique what we see, and critique doesn't mean criticism, I'll get to that. And then we may go back and revise moments and record them as before. Making a moment involves taking any one of these theatrical elements or any combination of them and creating something that takes a flash of time to the full scene. Basically, a moment could be just about anything. So we assemble these moments and we grab people from the company and we present them, sometimes with no rehearsal and sometimes with a lot of rehearsal. And that enables us to create the components of what might be scenes that we might want to use. We follow that with a fairly structured critique of the work. As I said before, this is not criticism. We are looking for four things. We're looking for the objective observation of the actual atoms that were moved during the piece, so to speak. You know, exactly what happened without any interpretation. He walks in, stands in the center of the room, not he walks into the fruit store. And then we talk about how it hit us, what we perceive, and that's more subjective. That's more about what we realize from watching the piece, from everything from the emotional impact it has to the story that we think is being generated. Finally, we talk about what we love. Delight is very important in this process, and we talk about what delights us. Finally, we end with questions, which could be structural, like, oh, you know, I noticed that they were wearing old clothes, which seems funny because they're supposed to be space-age astronauts. So I just want to mention that. Doesn't make any sense. And finally, we document everything. We give every moment a title, we talk about its primary elements, and we associate the people that participated and the author so that we can recall, we can get back all the data we want about that moment later on. So what you see on May 23rd at 7 p.m. is the result of taking all those moments and putting them into a sequence by the playwright Finding a story thread throughout those moments, and this involves selecting out some moments that don't fit whatever sequence you're generating, standing it up and showing it to you. So what do we do next? We take stock of what we accomplished on May 23rd. We fill in the gaps in story, and this is going to be, in this case, a fairly democratic process. We cannibalize moments and combine them and merge them together or split them apart. And then we start working on the next prototype until we feel we've got a piece that's worthy of you, of the audience. Okay?